What is the original Christ? Who is the original Christ?
We are.
Yeah, I'm saying, no, I'm saying, but even in the mythological aspect, who was the original Christ that precedes the Christian representation of Christ? Heru, Horus.
Right.
Jesus, in this case, which is Horus, said, Satan, get behind me. Satan, get behind me. Satan, get behind me. The base of the skull, the base of the spine and the top of the skull, no, the base of the skull and the top of the spine is the most concentrated part of melanin, the medulla oblongata, the mouth of God. Satan, get behind me is melanin, soot on. Soot, which means the triple blackness of space, or the most ancient god ever to exist. On is Anubis, which means opening, black hole, black guide. This is Anpu Anubis, the black and gold one. Satan, get behind me is talking about your true self. It's metaphysical. This is Horus. Horus and Set. Why are they the two? If this is the devil, why are they the two deities? Why are they two deities? Horus, Set. It's metaphysical. Horus is called Great Face. What did I say the face of God was? The pineal gland. In the back of you, you got the melanin in the most concentrated part. In the middle of the brain, you got the pineal gland, which synthesizes the melanin and brings light. Brings light. See it bringing the light? Brings light. Lucifer means pineal gland. You got to turn everything around. That's right. You can go into the history of this shit. You ain't dealing with no Rudy Poop motherfucker. I can back my shit up with scholarship. I ain't like no nigga coming up, you know, just giving you some shit. You be like, oh, you supposed to. First of all, you don't supposed to follow none of this shit. It ain't about following. It's about understanding. Look, it's simple. They put the okie doke on a nigga ass. Look. The average citizen, he come by and he read the scripture, and he think it's moralism. The priest come by, the initiate come by, and he might think it's on the level, and the priest come by and they know the real terminology. It ain't even got nothing to do with no good and evil. You see what I'm saying? It's yin and yang, light and darkness, energy. I'll show you what this is like. You get the skull and the crossbones on a bottle. It might be on a bottle of bleach, right? Let's say 2,000 years come and the person done lost the meaning of what bleach is, and they see the skull and the crossbones, and they say, that's some evil stuff. But to you who know, you know it's a formula. It just means the skull and the crossbone don't mean it's evil. It means it's a powerful aspect of the formula. These are formulas. So Satan just meant the most potent form of the formula, the essence of God. In Blavatsky's secret doctrine, they say when the church curses Satan, they're only cursing the cosmic reflection of God. In the beginning, it was what? No, it was darkness. And from the darkness came the damn light. Right? You get it? Came the light. Satan ain't talking about nothing but your true essence. That's what it's talking about. So the church is all set up to tell you to curse Satan is talking about cursing melanin, the prince of darkness. You are the prince of darkness. Lucifer means light bringer. Pineal gland brings the light and the light up the darkness. In the Garden of Eden, what happened?
I said that's terrible.
In what aspect? That they would deceive us, you're saying?
Well, we're doing this. We're hurting ourselves. It's terrible.
Yeah, in that aspect, not understanding. Now check this out. In the Garden of Eden, the tree of life. Where the hell is the tree of life? This is the tree of life. The Kabbalah. That's the tree of life. He said the tree of good and evil. He said you can eat from all the fruit, but you can't eat from the tree. Long come the serpent, which is the kundalini. This is the serpent right here. This tree of life and this tree of life is one and the same. This is an Egyptian one from the temple of Komombo that the Hebrews later adopted as the tree of life. And this is the one from the temple of Tahuti, or the priesthood of Tahuti, is the same damn symbol. The serpent say, don't eat this. The serpent say, go ahead, which means your kundalini energy rises up and eats the apple, which is your third eye, called the Bindu seed. Up here, the tree of life, the serpent crawls up the tree of life and they eat a part called the daf. Now, the Hebrews take this part off because the white Hebrews don't have daf. That means melanin. So they take this point off, which means daf, D-A-A-T-H, a dat. Blackening stage, melanin. That's where you get the word Darth Vader from. The dark side, pure melanin. Darth Vader was called in, Joseph Campbell was called in to help them work with Star Wars, and it's adequate. The Jedi warrior, the jet black eye, melanin. The Jedi warrior, the Djed pillar. You know what the Djed pillar is in Kemet? It's the backbone of Osiris. What's the backbone of Osiris? Bam! Backbone of Osiris. The Jedi warrior. The Jedi what? The black eye, the eye of Heru. Darth Vader. Darth, right there, D-A-A-T-A, the black dot. You don't know the powers of the dark side. That's why they got the black man to do the voice. The powers of the dark side. Then the hero, Luke Skywalker, rises up, conquers Darth Vader, who is his father, and becomes the Christ. We're talking about darkness, light coming out of darkness. The hero, Heru. The word hero comes from the word Heru, and the word hero is Greek for great face, face of God, pineal gland. Lucifer, light bringer. Satan. Let's go through some history. Let's go through some history. So what you didn't realize is the Egyptian thing, the Osirian drama, is a later version. The original people that came out of Atlantis and Lemuria were called the Typhonians. The Typhonian tradition matured, declined, even before the first monumental phase of the earliest civilization. This was written in fragments of original mythical lore current in Egypt and the Far East. The traditional lingered on and became corrupt in passing epics. Gradual attrition of the old age lineage of initiates, harassment and warring factions seeking temporal power at the expense of intemporal, inter-traditional space knowledge, sifted the sparks and foiled the spring of ancient wisdom. These particular writings later on became, in later centuries, the alchemical writings of the West, occult tantras of ancient India, and other occult things that you have now that the actual secret societies deal with. Now what this is this. There was an older tradition. Let me go to the history of this thing. Let's get some glossary so you will understand. You got to understand this thing. You got to turn everything around. Before Amun-Ra and Osiris, Osiris was named Sut, black one. Set is first, or Set, later on become the killer of Osiris. It's metaphysical is what it is. First of all, Osiris was cut into 14 pieces. The 14 pieces represent the 14 dimensions of your shattered mind. That's why black people are schizophrenic. The 13 pieces. Your mind is shattered into 13 pieces. You're putting together the pieces. The main piece that is missing to bring the other 13 pieces in is the penis, which is not the phallus down here. It's the pineal gland, pineal gland, which is the 14th piece. And once that lights up, the other consciousness comes back into view. It's shattered. We're schizophrenic. You see? That's what it's talking about. It's talking about 13 pieces of consciousness. Soot, first and therefore the oldest deity, Set, the prototype of Satan, and the god whose worship of the star Sirius, Asopis. The soul of Isis, Set, the goddess of the 7 stars, is represented in Ursa Major in the heaven. The word Set or Soot means black. That indicates not only the regenerative process, but this god is also associated in a mentor, hidden god. A mentor is is the deepest part of your subconscious. From the being of the gods of heaven, Set fell beneath the horizon and became recognized in later mythologies as the Lord of Hell, the hidden land. Hell is the hidden land inside your brain. That's where you are. You are the Lord of Hell. How many people saw Spawn, the movie Spawn? That's what it was all talking about. They turned the shit around. He was supposed to get his Hell's army and go to the gates of heaven and tear down the damn gates of heaven. I'll explain that in a few minutes, what that shit means. I'm explaining it in a few minutes. In magical terms, Set is the epitome of dormant subconscious and activisms, which is talking about your subconscious, the god of supreme importance. Now, what happened was this. The oldest religion we have on the earth is something called Typhonianism or Ophidianism. The reason why you don't know nothing about it is because Gerald Massey went into the British Museum and wrote his 6 volumes, Natural Genesis, Book of the Beginnings, and Ancient Egypt Light of the World, and broke the secret. There's some older stuff in Hemmitt, which was all black. What happened was, after he came out of the British Museum, they locked up all the Typhonian things, and now the only people see it is the occult people, the secret societies. The Typhonian religion, or Set religion, later on traveled out of Hemmitt. It went to Mesopotamia. This is still all black, in Samaria. Set was later on worshipped as Sut-on or Shaitan, which is a group of people that worship Shaitan, which is called the devil worshippers of ancient Kirstadun, or the Yazidi tribe is the name of these people. One man's God is another man's devil. Remember that shit. The devil worshippers of ancient Kirstadun of Mesopotamia, or they call the Yazidi tribe, worship a god called Sut-on or Shaitan, or Tatan or Teton. Later on, these group of Mesopotamian worship was called the Phoenicians, and they traveled over to Greece and Rome, and their names at that particular time was called the Tyrrhenians, or the Etruscans, or the Etrurians, and later on Troy. You hear about the Greek people killed Troy, Trojan horse? That was the last group of black people that started Greece and Rome. They started the Latin language in Greece, the Greek language, these advanced language. How the cracker gonna start a language and he couldn't talk from the cave? Then some Indo-Europeans came down and they taught them the stuff, and just like the Native Americans, they killed them all off. The last battle was when they killed off the people at Troy, was the last people of that land. And they left a vast mythology behind. So Shaitan came Teton, later on become the Titans, which was the black ones that fell. We're going to get in that in a few minutes. Soot in Egypt was in Nubia was Soot Nubit or Sut-Nesi, black and gold one. Or it was also in Mesopotamia or Samaria, it was called Sutek, and that's where you get the word Melchizedek. Anytime you see the word mel on the beginning of a word, it means black. Melanin, they got it from the Greek word black. If you get Robert Graves' book, Greek Myths, because the Greek mythology is ancient black mythology. It was called Etruscans before it was Greek. The Etruscans are the black people who established Greece and Rome. The language and the mythology was all black. The other Greeks, the white Greeks, later on went into Egypt and learned from the Egyptians, but the early thing, the Iliad and Odyssey of Homer, is all black. You see, it's all black. Now, to try to understand this, let me go into something. What actually happened? Now, this is in the Egyptian text, it's in the Greek text, it's in the Sumerian text, it's also in the Hebrew text, before the Hebrew cut off half of their text when they became a religion. Before they were a religion, there was advanced vast educational system out of Ethiopia. By the time they went into Egypt and came out with Akhenaten, they had lost a lot of their particular information, and because they didn't have the actual mystery school to teach them, they cut off a lot of the stuff. But there's a lot of other creation before it is get down to the regular Judeo-Christian creation. But the religions are all fake. They only tell you part of it. Let's go through the original story on what happened in the cosmos. In the cosmos, you got the Great Mother. The Great Mother gives birth to 7 stars. The chief star, the number 8 star, which was also the first star, was called Sirius. One of the sisters at another level was called Sophia. Lilith in Hemmitt in Egypt, Lilith, or either a form of Maya. Just different mythologies have the different names. Went off and had a child by herself. That child was halfway created. We're talking about energy. This child came to this part of the universe and set up, barricaded himself off to a small portion of the universe. I must validate this stuff for you so you can understand this. First of all, you can get this, parts of that stuff in the other Bible. The stuff that they call Gnosticism. See, the Book of the Dead, we thought, the Afrocentric people thought, the Book of the Dead was like the main religious book of Egypt. What they didn't realize is the Egyptians or the Kamites and the ancient people never had one book. See, these are modern people looking back with modern eyes trying to understand the ancient world. So because they saw the Book of the Dead, all the Afrocentric scholars are saying this is the Egyptian main book. The Egyptians didn't have one damn book. This is just the pyramid text. That's all that shit is. And this particular book explains the pantheon and a form of the journey of Heru or Horus, but it doesn't really go into the real theology. That's why you ain't had nobody being able to teach you that shit. This is a ritual book for the priests. And yes, the only person explaining it, Gerald Massey did. You can get part of the mythology in his book, the Egyptian Book of the Dead by Gerald Massey, which is also, you can get, he explains it. But my point is the real theology is within some stuff called Hermeticism, later on named Gnosticism. And what they did is they took the real shit and they translated it into Coptic, and in 1945, they dug it up and it's called Gnosticism, and that's the true pharaonic thought. So now we know what the pharaoh said about the universe. And it's simple. This particular deity that was created by one of the sisters of the god was halfway created. He jumped out the side of his mama womb. The Dogon talk about the same thing. The Egyptians talk about it later on too. They just named it Set to get back at the older people. See, when you want to get in a fight with other people, you name your devil their god. It's some real fucked up shit. Excuse the expression. So the word Set is one of the ancient deities. The later things shouldn't be named that, but that's the way they do things. That's when we start messing up. You name your god, you name your devil somebody else's god that you don't like. So this is how they Set thing. Set is the oldest name of the deity of the heaven. When the Great Mother had her first child, it was Set, which is a form of Sirius, the first of 7 stars. So, somewhere in the constellation of Orion, because Osiris is in the constellation of Orion, one of the sisters went off and had a child by herself, through mistake, I guess. But it wasn't balanced with the both energies of the male and female energy, or the energies of the god. And this child was halfway created, a renegade, a psychotic entity that came down and created a small section of the universe for himself and barricaded himself off. And that's your planetary spheres that we have here. He had a group of helpers with him, and they came and they created a semi-physical Earth. As a result, they created both a male and a female body. And they wanted the body to worship it.